Hey everyone, Josh here with Royal Treatment. Today I'm going to tie a nice classic fly called the Stewart. It was designed by Marty Sherman, who sadly has recently passed away. But it's a fun, beautiful, classic steelhead fly. Works well on the Deschutes. I'm going to start with an Alec Jackson size 5 hook. I'm going to use black 6.0 Danville. Again, it's another thing that kind of has traditionally almost always been used for steelhead flies. Looks good, works pretty good, I think. It's really thin. And I'm going to just lock in a little thread over my return there. The first thing that I need is a little gold tag. And when I lock this in, I want to lock it right on top of the return there. So just like that. And what you can see is that's going to fill in that gap. And as I tie it in, I just tie it right on the side. And I don't want my thread to go quite to the point. I'm going to leave just a little gap like that. And give maybe, there's 2 turns, 3 turns, 4 turns, I bet looks about right. And once I lock it in, I want to run it back right on the side again, ending right at that return. And what I'm trying to do is just fill in that gap so it's doesn't have that big bump really there anymore. And so this tail is orange and black hackle fibers. So get a good pinch. And actually, if you look at recipes like in the Trey Combs book or Randy Stetzer's book or John Chewy's books, this fly calls actually for a golden pheasant tippet for the tail. Randy Stetzer sent me some pictures of ones that he and Marty had, and they were hackle fiber tails, so I thought this would be a fun alternative route. So maybe about like that. And I like my tail to, on this kind of fly, be about to the bend of the hook. And I'm going to just lock this thread down right to that tag, and it's going to kind of kick the tail up a little bit. And then I'll just lock these hackle fibers down on top, again trying to kind of evenly build up the body. And so this is going to get a rib of oval tinsel, also in gold. And I lock that in on the far side, all the way down to the tag and tail. This is just black wool yarn that I got at a yarn store probably 20 years ago. You get a skein of it and you get a lot of flies that you can tie from it. And I just have kind of locked it in on my side. Try not to build up too much. I have a little gap here where the yarn is going to come off the tying material, off the tied in materials, and kind of help us to create a little head. And I just wrap this yarn edge to edge all the way up. And then I need to make sure that I leave let's get one more like that. That should be pretty good. Space for my wing and collar still. And this is oval I'm wrapping up, and I want to try to get about 5 wraps. 2, 3, 4, 5. Seems pretty even. 3 wraps to lock that in. Yeah, you can see this fly comes together pretty fast. This is a black hen saddle patch. And this has a nice webby feathers that aren't too terribly long. Have a little bit of body to them. And I'm just trying to search out a feather that's not going to be too big for this. I don't like a real long feather on there. And what I want is for this feather, the fibers to be about as long as the body when I measure it out, so that when I tie it in, as they're curving around the end of the body here, they actually get to be a little bit shorter. So that seems about size right. And I kind of tie it in on the top back side. And then once I start to fold this over and wrap, it's going right in the perfect direction. And it has one less wrap on top because I put it on the back. So there's one wrap, one whole wrap right there. There is a full second wrap. We'll look at what a third looks like and maybe back it off. It looks pretty nice. Not too much. Hopefully we didn't crowd out the eye. Over tie it in so the head's too full. That looks very nice. So now it's going to get a two-tone wing. This is black calf tail. And these wings are very sparse. You're going to use two materials in here. So whatever you would normally use, you're going to use half as much. And then this is also a small fly, so that might not be quite enough. And sadly, I'm probably overly picky about this wing, and I pick a lot and then just pull a lot out. Get a nice pinch, something like that, stack it. And we're again gonna, even though we have already picked a small amount, stack it. We're going to just keep pulling it apart till you have about half of what you started with, which seemed like a good amount. Like that. And I don't like my wing to be as long as the tail. And so we're going to loose wrap. Yeah, it didn't look like very much when I was holding it, but it looks like a lot more now. And then orange. And this is calf tail, but you could use bucktail or kid goat, or if you had polar bear, do that. I think anything will look good. Like that. And once you get it stacked, again, pull out all the crazies. Anything that might be too short. And that's just going right on top of the other one. So give it a nice loose pinch wrap. Okay, there's 3 wraps locking it in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look over the top and make sure this thing is centered. And I'm also going to just take my fingernail and kind of smash it down so it spreads out a little bit. Yes, just like that. trim off the butt ends. Get a little, doing a little detail work here. And if I'm feeling really frisky, I want to get the thread out of the way. I'll get my cauterizing tool. And I will just basically drop that in front of the materials like that. And it'll melt it back a little bit. And if there's a little on this side, do that. It really helps to clean it up. Lock in the butts that we just melted down. Try not to build up too much of a thread head. The smaller, the neater, the tidier, the better. And I do a 3 or 4 turn whip finish. This is hardest hole head cement, and I really like this kind of lacquery type. Head cement or varnish. I like really how it leaves a glossy head on here. This one seems like it's thickening up maybe just a little too much. So it kind of has those little strands coming off of it. But that's the fly right there. That is the Stewart by Marty Sherman. Just a lovely classic fly. Nice silhouette. Works really good on the Deschutes. I'm sure it'll work really good anywhere you fish a summer steelhead fly. Tie one and go fish it and honor the masters that came before us. Hope you catch a steelhead on it. Enjoy.